Hello, welcome back to my channel. This time I'm doing a video of the subject Educational Resources and ICT. I hope you like it. Ability to be able to communicate with families in a more practical way in order to keep them up to date with the evolution of the students. ICTs allows parents to be more involved in their children's educational process. Maintaining a close relationship with families is essential in the development of children. Thanks to ICTs, there is immediate and safe contact that saves time. However, it must be taken into account that many families do not have these tools, so they must be given as much help as possible. ICTs, although are very useful and productive tools, can also affect social life, culture, economy, and politics. Teachers must encourage their students to be both critical and sensible citizens when using new technologies, and also to value the impact that technology has had on the world, showing them the positive and negative sides. Pupils need to know the world they are facing and thus prepare themselves for it. It is really important to train them as people, but it is also vital to help them understand all the phases of ICT. Teachers must master the subjects they are teaching, find the right strategies and techniques to teach their students, and find ways to include technology in the process of learning. That means that it is not enough to know theoretical content or to know how to use a computer, but the teacher must learn to take advantage of the new digital techniques in the day-to-day life of the classroom to help students improve in their educational process. It is essential because it allows the development of attractive spaces for students and tools that can increase innovation and creativity. At the same time, as current technologies are constantly evolving, they can be easily adapted to specific situations and will be helpful to solve the problems that may arise. Contact them on a regular basis through emails or video calls, like for example, Classroom or Zoom. Involve parents by creating a digital magazine in which they can provide information that allows teachers to comment later in class, or probably make videos with the children talking about the things that they like the most about any subject. First, to learn what the world of technology is, read some digital news, for example, fake news, or to teach them what is the world of social network, for example, with Instagram. And to adapt a critical and innovative attitudes, we will make some online games, for example, Kahoot, or interactive activities where they can apply what they have learned. That way, we can also check if they have understood during the classes. Little by little, I will incorporate the subject matter into the classes through presentations and videos so that it's more dynamic and students are more motivated. Teachers can also use YouTube or personal PowerPoint presentations. Could also be a good idea, as students could write their own opinions and teachers would know what subjects should focus on most. With these sections, we will be able to introduce the subject matter in a less monotonous way, and it will be easier to achieve the goals of the relationship between the emerging techniques and the content. Social networks would allow a deep development of this element as well as online news, articles or digital books, and online blogs when enriching with diverse opinions and experiences. The elements that I would include would be video calls through Zoom, as I have explained previously, or messaging platforms such as Telegram, and online surveys with which I could deal with parents on a regular basis, uploading reflection or leaving small questions. I would work on the visual presentations that will allow me to expose the content in a direct way, and augmented reality because it is a way to transform the theoretical content into a more realistic and expressive one through an electronic device. TPACT stands for Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. It is an educational practice that consists of the introduction of technology into daily teaching, that is, that the content taught go hand in hand with ICT. Within this technique, we must mention three types of knowledge and their own interrelationship: that of content, technological, and pedagogical. Content knowledge includes knowledge of the subject matter being taught. Technological knowledge includes the appropriate use of technological tools, and pedagogical knowledge includes the way in which knowledge is taught and transmitted. At the same time, we find the pedagogical content, which praises the effective teaching of content, the technological content, which looks for the way to introduce technology into what is being taught, and the technological pedagogical, in which technology helps in the learning process. The union that is formed between these three knowledge is unique depending on what approach is given to it and what it is used for. What must be clear is that each teacher must adapt these elements according to their students, their personality, and their objectives in order to take advantage of them. And how would I use it? For example, when it comes to explaining the contents, I would prepare a table with different ways of explaining it during the week. One day with videos, another day doing interactive games, another day doing online tests, etc. PLE means Personal Learning Environment. It consists of all the resources, elements, and tools that a person uses to learn and evolve both on a personal and collective level. Within a PLE, it is essential that there are three sections: one with the mechanisms through which we will access the information, another with the instrument that will help us mediate on what we are learning and what we have already learned, and finally, the activities that will carry out to share our PLN knowledge, Personal Learning Network. The emerging technological tools allow us to enhance the development and open the way to new forms of research and implementations. A good PLE has to know how to adapt to the situation in which it finds itself, that is to say, the PLE evolves at the same time as society does. New methods, more complex systems, and more effective techniques are appearing that will facilitate and improve our learning process. I would help the students to create their own PLE. That is, at the end of each month, they would have to write in the form of a diary with which classes they have feel more comfortable, through which methods they like to learn more. That way, they would be choosing the elements with which they feel more comfortable, and the teacher would also be able to investigate at the same time. Augmented reality is a technological and innovative technique that allows us to know the world in a more real and close way. That is, it is a tool that through a series of programs used with a technological device shows us virtual elements of things that we perceive in the physical world, a kind of connection between the real and the virtual world. It is a more interactive and dynamic learning process that can greatly enrich classwork. It aims to create an educational environment where the student is constantly able to design, experiment, and modify. Students will be attracted to this way of learning as it is something new and different compared to what they normally do in class. Also, as it is a strategy based on visualization, details will be seen more clearly and it will be easier to understand the subject matter. Well, for example, in some research work of the world of dinosaurs, so they can observe them more realistically. They will have to choose a dinosaur and try to investigate their characteristics, how he is like, what he likes to eat, etc. Conceptual photography is an art that aims to convey ideas and concepts through the representation of images. This photograph can contain both fictional and exaggerated elements, as well as digital retouching to produce a greater impression. In this way, you can learn to reflect, interpret, and relate. A photo can represent a simple message, such as doing homework. However, abstract ideas such as friendship, diversity, or respect can also appear, and even subjective ideas, which are subject to interpretation. Students can develop their creativity and externalize their understanding of concepts explained in class. This is a different way of working on the content in class, so that it is not always the same dynamic. A good example of this would be, in a class, after having explained a subject, we could put key concept in a bag and have a student take out 3 when doing. Each one we have to elaborate 3 images that represent them, and the others we have to guess. Afterwards, the student will explain why he or she has chosen those particular pictures. Well, what is a mark you earn? I believe that although we've had some ups and downs, we have been trying harder and harder, and as a result, there has been a considerable evolution both at personal and a group level, so I reckon that my mark could be around 8 or 9. Well, which is the most important role you have performed in this course? I'm not quite sure which one I would choose, but I reckon that the analyst is one of the most indispensable ones. When you start doing something for the first time, there are always failures and aspects to improve. So analyzing the situation and making a final reflection is vital to move on. What is the most challenging role you have performed? In my opinion, the role of the star has certainly been the most daring. I have to be aware of all the details, organize the information well, and explain everything clearly and precisely. I reckon that tutorial videos made by both student and teacher could be a good option in order to enrich learning. And in turn to encourage curiosity and willingness to work, I would also include visual presentations that can show the information in a more attractive way. When working on information management, I believe that the methodology of frameworks and conceptual maps would be very positive to practice synthesis. Personal blogs will help to reflect on the classes and share their opinions. Finally, to develop creativity, I would use the conceptual photography or comic book editing tools, like for example, Pixton. Social networks are essential for the transmission of all kinds of content. Instagram, a technique that allows us to innovate our knowledge and develop new ideas, just like YouTube, which offers us a great amount of information and diverse experiences, and also through video conferences where you can express your beliefs. The elements could be used in more than one activity. Is the case of social networks that are useful both to research for information and to expand our ideas and look for new ones.